Okay, so today, getting out your artwork that you watercolored the last time I saw you. We're gonna put our placemat underneath again today. You have your artwork out, and we're going to grab our scissors. Now, scissors weren't included in your art supply bin. However, if you needed them, you were asked to let someone know. So we're going to start with our scissors out, and then we're gonna get our two types of glue out for later in the class. So our two types of glue are our Elmer's glue, Elmer's school glue, and our glue stick. So one is liquid glue, this is the liquid glue, and the other is a glue stick. So you have both of those out and you have your scissors. The first thing we're going to do is start cutting in. But before we start, I want to go over basic scissor etiquette. What you're going to do is you're going to put your two fingers, this finger and this finger, these two fingers, your peace sign fingers, in the larger hole. And then you're going to take your thumb and put it in the smaller hole. Now, I should never see your other hand close to this area because we don't want to make a mistake and cut ourselves. I should also never see you going like this or going into someone else's face close with scissors. If you're walking with scissors, this is how we should hold them. The metal part is covered by our hand. We shouldn't be walking with scissors, but just in case we ever have to do it, this is how you should walk with scissors. So, getting that scissor position ready, we're going to begin by cutting out the top part or the base of our mask. And you can see that I'm holding my other hand way down below. So you should be doing this, getting started on cutting out that top piece of your mask as I am doing this. I'm going to move my hand a little farther away because I'm a little bit worried about that. All right, so now I have the base part of our now we have our base part of our mask ready. If we were to put it on, I'm going to show you what that would look like. So, around here. So if we were to pretend to wear our mask, it would go right like this. Well, our second mask, I guess we could say. Right like this. The other thing, you want to make sure you always close your scissors. So I should never see scissors sitting out on the desk like this. They should always be closed and put next to your work. So now that we have our mask cut out here, what we're going to do is cut out additional pieces of our mask. So I'm gonna cut out my name here. And then I think I'm gonna lay them where I could possibly want them. So you need to make sure that your pieces are big enough so that you could glue one part, like this part here, and then paste it onto your mask there. So we're gonna cut out the rest of those pieces and putting your scrap pieces over to the side. All right, so I'm gonna cut the top here off on those crayon lines that I originally had. Now you can change this up too if you don't want to follow exactly how you planned out. That is fine. You just want to make sure that you're keeping your pieces big enough so that they will be able to be glued down to your mask. So this process may take you a little bit longer, and that's okay. I've had a bit more experience in cutting since I'm just a little bit older. I'm going to keep all the pieces that I want to use in one section here. I'm not sure about these ones. So right now you should be cutting out your pieces. And I'm grouping mine by size as well. I thought that might be helpful. And remembering what your idea is that you chose. Maybe you chose water, maybe you chose air, maybe you chose something else like an animal that you wanted to represent with your artwork. And we're also trying to show movement in this artwork. I'm going to continue cutting out, moving on to some different pieces here. Moving on to those teardrop pieces that I originally cut out, that I originally planned for. And these are smaller. I actually think they might be a little too small, but I'll see if I'll be able to use them in my project. So you are going to continue cutting until you have all of your pieces cut out. Okay, so now you can see that I have all of my pieces. I have my scraps placed over to one side so that I'll be able to throw them out when I am finished. I have my scissors placed over. I have all my pieces cut out here. I have all my teardrops cut out. And I also have my glue and my glue stick ready. So I'm going to work on my mask and I'm gonna think about how I want to place these pieces, like where I think they should go. And what I think I wanna do is have them so that they're all hanging off of certain parts and certain sides. I don't know if I'll use that one because that looks a little bit different, which could work, but I'm not quite sure because I want to be able to show that movement with my mask. So perhaps I'll have them on the edges on my cheeks. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to lay them out and see how you want them to be positioned on your pieces. This one over here. They don't need to be symmetrical, but sometimes it's nice to have them have some symmetry, which means the same thing on both sides. And I'm also, I'm gonna put that one there, and then figure out the sides here. And then I'm gonna put my teardrops or my raindrops across the top there. So before I put those on, what I wanna do is we're going to be using your glue stick because it dries a little faster, it makes it a little bit easier, but I'm gonna go over how to use both of these materials. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take off the top, took a little more force than I expected. Take off the top of your glue stick. You never wanna roll your glue stick this far up because when you push down on it, the glue will fall off and you'll have no glue left. So you just wanna make sure you're twisting it up from the bottom just a little bit. And then you're gonna take the piece that you want, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold over the top, the part that I want the glue on. I'm gonna place it on top of my placemat so we don't get glue on the desks. And I'm gonna run a little bit of glue using some pressure on to that piece. And then I'm going to stick it down on top of my mask. And that'll take a little bit to dry, but while it's drying, I'm gonna move on to the other pieces. So what I want you to do is begin this process. Now, if you're having some trouble and you think that the other glue would work better, what you're gonna do is put on the top cap of your glue, and then you're gonna take your other Elmer's liquid glue and you're going to twist the top. And when you twist the top, this white dot will go away and you'll see that there'll be a little gap between this white part and this orange part. See? Then you're gonna do the same thing. You're going to take your piece that you wanna glue on, fold it over, put the smallest amount of liquid glue on here by just gently pressing that glue, and you can see that the liquid glue is on there. Now I'll put my glue down and I'll place that here. This takes a little bit longer to dry, which is why I prefer the use of a stick for this specific project. But if you have run out or something's not working with your glue stick, you can move on to your liquid glue. So I'm going to show you that one more time. Just the smallest bit of glue. Dot, dot, not a lot. Not a lot of glue. And you can also see when I'm folding the pieces, it makes them stick up in cool ways. So that could be also a way of showing movement in your work. All right, so now what we're gonna do is spend a little bit of time gluing the rest of these on. All right, now that we have everything glued onto our piece that we want, what we're going to do is make sure our liquid glue cap is closed. And by doing that, you're gonna twist it, make sure that little tiny white piece at the top shows, and there is no space in between the white part right here and the lid, which is right here with the orange part. Make sure that's closed, and then you're gonna make sure your glue is rolled down a little bit, not too far, and then you're gonna put the glue cap right on and make sure that it snaps. Good job. Now we're gonna put these two materials back in our bags. And then we just have to wait a minute for our mask to dry. If you feel like your mask is dry, just like we did with the watercolors, what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold it over and we're gonna put it in our bag. But if you don't feel like it's dry, what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep it on our placemat and we're gonna carry back to our room to let it dry on our desks for just a minute or two. And then you're gonna put it back in your folder and in your placemat, and you're gonna put it in your bag. Now some of the things may pop out and you might have to fold some things over, and that's okay. That's all right. We're gonna stick it back in there, and then we have our bag all ready to go to our next spot. When we are leaving the classroom, or if you're at home, we're gonna take our little scrap pieces, we're gonna take them in our hand, make sure they're all in our hands, and we're going to throw them out. If you borrowed a pair of scissors, we're going to have to put them in a hand sanitizing, the scissors will have to wipe down and sanitize when we come around and wipe down your desks, and then you'll put them back. The only way you're going to be getting up out of your seats is when we are leaving, and you'll throw this paper in the trash can. When? That's right, when we are leaving. And you also do that same thing with the scissors. Hey there, so we are done with class today. Make sure you post a photo of your mask, your glued pieces on your mask, to our Seesaw account, and I can't wait to see what you've made.